Silence reigned supreme in the cavernous chambers of the celestial Concordat. Xylith, first speaker of the Lumini, stood motionless before the towering holograms of 1,000 worlds. Her iridescent skin shimmered under the harsh light of alien suns, each flicker a testament to the countless civilizations under her dominion. Impossible. The outburst came from Grazgtor, the hive mind of the Vespiri swarm. His multifaceted eyes pulsed with an alarming crimson hue. How can an entire sector just vanish? Xylithna's tendrils coiled tightly around her ceremonial staff. It hasn't vanished, Grazgtor. It's gone silent. The chamber erupted into a cacophony of alien voices, each more frantic than the last. The Concordat, an alliance of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations, had never faced such a crisis. For millennia, they had ruled the stars with an iron fist, their technology and might unmatched. Silence. Xylithna's voice reverberated through the chamber, instantly quelling the uproar. We must approach this rationally. From the shadows, a new voice emerged, low and gravelly. It sent shivers through the assembled dignitaries. Rational? There's nothing rational about this. First speaker. All eyes turned to the source. Drekthar the Unmaker, leader of the notorious Void Corsairs, stepped into the light. His cybernetic implants glinted menacingly as he moved. An entire sector doesn't just go quiet without a reason, Drekthar continued, his artificial eye whirring as if focused on the holographic display. Someone or something is behind this. Xylithna's inner eyelids flickered rapidly, a sign of deep distress among the Lumini. What are you implying, Drekthar? The cyborg pirate lord let out a harsh, metallic laugh. Isn't it obvious? We're under attack. The question is, by whom? A tense silence fell over the chamber. The idea was almost inconceivable. For eons, the Celestial Concordat had been the undisputed power in the galaxy. Their technology was unmatched, their military might unquestionable. The very notion of an outside force capable of challenging them was absurd, and yet preposterous. The exclamation came from Zolak, the quantum consciousness of the Axioni collective. Its voice was a dissonant blend of a million synthetic tones. Our predictive algorithms would have foreseen any potential threat. The probability of an unknown force capable of. Your precious algorithms clearly miss something. Drekthar snarled, his cybernetic fists clenching with an ominous whir. Before the argument could escalate further, a new alert flashed across the holographic display. Xylithna's tendrils trembled as she processed the incoming data. By the void, she whispered, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing erratically. It's not just one sector. We're losing contact with systems across the entire galactic arm. The chamber descended into chaos once more. Accusations flew. Theories were proposed and discarded in rapid succession. Fear, an emotion long forgotten by many of these ancient races, began to take root. Amidst the pandemonium, a small, often overlooked member of the Concordat stepped forward. Exil, representative of the Whisperers of Nizthra, raised all four of his spindly arms. Friends, his soft voice somehow cut through the din. Perhaps we're asking the wrong questions. All eyes turned to the diminutive alien. The Whisperers were known for their enigmatic nature and their uncanny ability to perceive patterns where others saw only chaos. We've been focused on who might be behind this, Exil continued, his large, liquid eyes reflecting the swirling holograms. But what if it's not a who at all? What if it's a what? Xylithna's tendrils uncurled slightly, a sign of curiosity. Explain, Whisperer. Exil's skin rippled, changing colors rapidly as he formulated his thoughts. The affected systems, they're not destroyed. They're not conquered. They're just silent. As if what? Grastor chittered impatiently. As if they've chosen to be silent. Exil finished, his voice barely above a whisper. The chamber fell silent once more, but this time, it was a silence heavy with contemplation. The idea was so foreign, so utterly alien to the members of the Concordat, that it took several moments for its implications to sink in. Drekthar was the first to break the silence, his laughter a harsh, metallic sound that echoed through the chamber. Chosen? You think billions of sentient beings just decided to cut themselves off from the greatest civilization the galaxy has ever known? Ridiculous. But Xylithnah's tendrils had begun to undulate in a pattern that signified deep thought. Is it though, she mused? We've ruled the galaxy for so long. Perhaps we've forgotten what it's like to choose. The word hung in the air, heavy with possibilities and fraught with danger. For the first time in eons, uncertainty had crept into the halls of power. The Celestial Concordat, long accustomed to absolute control, found itself facing a threat it couldn't quantify, couldn't predict, and most terrifyingly couldn't understand. As the gathered leaders argued and theorized, none of them noticed the small, seemingly insignificant notation on the far edge of the galactic map. A tiny backwater system, previously deemed too primitive for contact or conquest. Its name? Sol. And at that very moment, on the third planet from its unremarkable yellow star, something was stirring. Something that would shake the very foundations of the galactic order. Something the Concordat had long forgotten how to recognize or comprehend. Hope. Zyra Blackwood stood at the helm of the SSV Prometheus, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling vortex of the wormhole before her. The ship hummed with nervous energy, its crew a mix of excitement and trepidation. Captain, her XO, Kiran Dasgupta, called out. Final checks complete. We're ready for transit. Zyra nodded, her jaw set with determination. All right, people, let's make history. With a command from her neural interface, the Prometheus surged forward. The wormhole's maw engulfed them, reality twisting and bending in ways that made the crew's stomachs lurch. For what felt like an eternity compressed into a heartbeat, they were everywhere and nowhere at once. Then, with a flash of blinding light, they emerged. Status report, Zyra barked, blinking away the afterimages. All systems nominal, Kiran responded, his fingers dancing over holographic displays. We've done it, Captain. We're in the Andromeda Galaxy. A cheer went up from the bridge crew, but Zyra remained focused. Astrogation, confirm our position. Sensors, full sweep. Let's see what's out here. As the crew worked, Zyra allowed herself a moment of reflection. Humanity had come so far in such a short time. Just a century ago, they were still confined to their solar system. Now, they stood at the threshold of a new galaxy, ready to explore and expand. Captain, the sensor officer, Dr. Elodie Fontaine, called out. Her voice held a note of confusion. I'm picking up something odd. Zyra was at her station in an instant. Define odd, Doctor. Elodie's brow furrowed as she pored over the data. It's like nothing I've ever seen. There are clear signs of advanced civilizations, Dyson swarms, planetary engineering on a massive scale. But there's no cohesion, no unified network. It's as if what? Zyra pressed. As if they're all independent, isolated. Elodie looked up, her eyes wide. Captain, I think we've stumbled into some kind of galactic Cold War. The implications hit Zyra like a physical blow. They had expected to find either an empty galaxy or a unified civilization. This was something else entirely. Incoming transmission, Kiran suddenly shouted. Unknown origin, unknown language. Zyra straightened her uniform. On screen, the holographic display flickered to life, revealing a being that defied easy description. It seemed to be composed of living crystal, its form constantly shifting and refracting light. This is Captain Zyra Blackwood of the Earth ship Prometheus, she began, hoping their universal translator could handle the alien language. We come in peace-seeking. The crystalline being's form pulsed with what might have been surprise or alarm. It spoke, its voice a symphony of chimes and resonances. Earth, the translator struggled to interpret. The silent world? You broke free? Zyra exchanged a confused glance with Kiran. Not sure I understand. We've only just developed wormhole technology. This is our first extragalactic. The alien's form flared with intense light. Impossible. The Concordat, the suppression field. How did you overcome it? Suppression field? Elodie whispered, her scientific curiosity piqued. But before Zyra could ask for clarification, the alien's next words sent a chill down her spine. You must leave. Now. Before they detect you. Before they realize what's happened. Who? Zyra demanded. Who are you talking about? The crystalline being's form began to fracture, as if under immense stress. The celestial concordat. The oppressors. They cannot know that Earth has awakened. It would mean the end of everything. With that cryptic warning, the transmission cut off abruptly. Zyra stood frozen for a moment, her mind racing. Then her training kicked in. Battle stations. Kieran, plot a course back to the wormhole. We need to warn Earth. As the Prometheus prepared to depart, none of its crew realized the magnitude of what they had just set in motion. Their brief presence in Andromeda, their very existence, had sent ripples through the cosmic order. Back on Earth, in the sprawling headquarters of the United Earth Government, Chancellor Adebayo received the emergency transmission from the Prometheus. As he listened to Captain Blackwood's report, his face grew grave. So, he mused to his assembled advisors. It seems we are not alone, and our neighbors are not friendly. What do we do, Chancellor? Asked Defense Minister Yuki Tanaka, her voice tense. Adebayo's eyes hardened with resolve. We prepare, we innovate, and above all, we hope. For it seems that hope itself may be our greatest weapon in the battles to come. Little did they know, but at that very moment, across the vast expanse of space in Andromeda, news of Earth's awakening was spreading like wildfire. In hidden enclaves and secret resistance movements, in the hearts of the oppressed and the minds of the curious, a single word was being whispered with growing fervor. Earth. And with that word came something the Celestial Concordat had spent millennia trying to stamp out. Something that would shake the very foundations of their empire. Hope. The galaxy was about to change, and humanity, unknowing and unprepared, stood at the center of the coming storm. In the shadowy underbelly of Nexus Prime, the sprawling capital world of the Celestial Concordat, a clandestine meeting was taking place. The air was thick with tension and the acrid smell of alien pheromones. Lyriel, a Lumini defector, her bioluminescent patterns dimmed to near darkness, leaned forward. It's true. I've seen the reports myself. A ship from the Silent World has breached the suppression field. Her words sent a ripple of excitement through the assembled group. They were an odd assortment, representatives from a dozen different species, all united in their opposition to the Concordat's iron-fisted rule. Gronk, a hulking Vespiri drone who had broken free from his hive's control, buzzed excitedly. But how? The suppression field has contained that system for millennia. Does it matter? This came from Zixterra, a being of pure energy contained within a specially designed suit. What matters is what this means for us, for the Resistance. Lyriel nodded, her tendrils quivering with barely contained emotion. Exactly. If Earth has truly awakened, it could change everything. Meanwhile, light years away, on a nondescript trading outpost in the Outer Rim, word was spreading in a different way. Dro Cash, a Void Corsair, slammed his drink down on the bar. The viscous liquid sloshed dangerously close to the edge of the container. I'm telling you it's true. My cousin's nestmate heard it straight from a Lumini bureaucrat. There's a whole planet out there that's been hidden from us. His drinking companion, a cynical Axioni named Pulse, scoffed. Its voice was a discordant hum of electromagnetic frequencies. And I suppose this hidden world is full of riches and advanced tech, just waiting to be plundered. Dro Cash's cybernetic eye whirred as he focused on Pulse. Better, they say. They say this world has something the Concordat fears more than any weapon. Pulse's electromagnetic field flickered with curiosity despite itself. Oh, and what might that be? Darish leaned in close, his voice dropping to a whisper. Hope! The word hung in the air between them, charged with potential. Back on Earth, the United Earth Government was in crisis mode. Emergency sessions had been convened, contingency plans dusted off and updated. The revelation that they were not alone in the universe, and that their first contact had been less than welcoming, had sent shockwaves through society. Chancellor Adebayo stood before the Global Council, his usually calm demeanor strained. Ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves at a crossroads. The Prometheus expedition has revealed a galaxy far more complex and dangerous than we ever imagined. Defense Minister Tanaka stepped forward, her holographic display flickering to life. Our options are limited. We can attempt to fortify Seoul, but against a galactic civilization, our defenses would be meaningless. We can try to remain hidden, but it seems the proverbial cat is already out of the bag. Or, interjected Dr. Jin Liu, head of the newly formed Xenological Research Division, we can do what humanity does best. We can innovate. We can adapt. Adebayo's eyebrow raised. You have a proposal, Doctor? Liu nodded, her eyes gleaming with excitement. The suppression field that's been containing us, it's not just a barrier. It's been limiting us. Our thoughts, our potential, our very essence has been constrained. She paused, letting her words sink in. But now that we know it's there, now that we've breached it once, we can learn to overcome it, to use it to our advantage. The council chamber erupted into a flurry of questions and exclamations. Adebayo raised a hand, silencing the crowd. Explain, Doctor. How do we turn this threat into an opportunity? Liu's fingers danced over her datapad, projecting a complex series of equations and diagrams. The field operates on principles we're only beginning to understand. But at its core, it seems to dampen certain forms of, let's call it psychic energy for simplicity's sake. She continued, her words gaining speed and passion. If we can reverse engineer it, learn to channel it instead of being limited by it, we could potentially tap into abilities we never knew we had. Telepathy, telekinesis, maybe even forms of energy manipulation we can't yet comprehend. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. It was Tanaka who finally spoke, her voice a mix of awe and concern. You're talking about turning humanity into something more than human. Liu nodded solemnly. I am. It's a risk, certainly, but faced with a hostile galaxy, can we afford not to take it? Adebayo closed his eyes, feeling the weight of the decision before him. When he opened them again, they blazed with determination. Begin your research, Doctor, but proceed with caution. We're not just fighting for our survival now, we're fighting for our very humanity. As the council dispersed, none of them could have imagined the ripples their decisions were sending across the cosmos. In hidden laboratories and secret resistance bases, in the minds of the oppressed and the hearts of the curious, something was stirring. The name Earth was spreading, whispered in dark corners and encoded in subspace transmissions. With it came stories, some true, many exaggerated, all inspiring. Stories of a world that had defied the Concordat's control. A world that promised something many had forgotten was possible. Freedom, choice, hope. Across the galaxy, eyes turned towards the silent sector, towards the unassuming yellow star that harbored humanity. The celestial Concordat, for the first time in eons, felt the stirrings of fear. For they knew, deep in their collective consciousness, that change was coming. And change, to those who had ruled unopposed for millennia, was the most terrifying prospect of all. The celestial Concordat's grand assembly hall echoed with chaos. Xylith, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with stress, struggled to maintain order. Silence, she commanded, her tendrils lashing out in frustration. This panic serves in O1. Grazktor, the Vespiri hive mind, chittered angrily. Panic? This is beyond panic. First speaker, it's catastrophe. The suppression field has failed. Drekthar, the cyborg pirate lord, let out a harsh, metallic laugh. Fail? Oh, it's done more than fail. It's become a beacon of hope for every miserable, oppressed species in this galaxy. We must not overreact. Earth is but one world, primitive and... One world! Zolak, the quantum consciousness, interrupted. Its voice was a cacophony of discordant tones. One world that has inspired a galaxy-wide rebellion. Our predictive algorithms show a 98.7% chance of total societal collapse within a standard solar cycle if this This contagion of hope is not contained. As the argument escalated, none noticed the small figure of Exil, the whisperer, slipping out of the chamber. His large, liquid eyes held a mixture of fear and something else, something that looked suspiciously like hope. Meanwhile, on Earth, the Global Defense Initiative headquarters was a hive of activity. Holographic displays showed real-time updates from across the Sol system, where a massive defense grid was taking shape. Chancellor Adebayo stood at the center of it all, his face etched with determination. Status report, Minister Tanaka. Yuki Tanaka, now sporting neural implants that connected her directly to Earth's defense network, spoke without taking her eyes off the swirling data streams. The Jupiter array is online. Mars defense platform is at 80% capacity. The Luna cannon will be operational within 72 hours. Dr. Jinlu approached, her lab coat disheveled from countless sleepless nights. Chancellor, we've made a BREKTHROUGH. Adebayo turned, hope glimmering in his eyes. The suppression field? Lu nodded excitedly. We've not only learned to neutralize its effects, but we've also discovered how to harness it. The first wave of volunteers have shown remarkable abilities. Telepathy, telekinesis, even limited precognition. Tanaka's implants flashed as she processed this information. This could change everything. Our defensive capabilities, our intelligence gathering, our very existence. Adebayo finished, his voice grave. Doctor, are you certain this evolution is safe? Lu's excitement dimmed slightly. As certain as we can be, given the time constraints. There are risks. The human mind wasn't designed to channel such energies. We're seeing cases of mental instability, personality shifts, but the potential benefits far outweigh the risks, Tanaka interjected. With these abilities, we might stand a chance against the Concordat. Adebayo closed his eyes, feeling the weight of the decision before him. When he opened them, they blazed with resolve. Proceed with the next phase, Doctor, but volunteer basis only. I won't force this change on anyone. As Earth prepared for a conflict it barely understood, across the galaxy, the spark of rebellion was turning into a raging inferno. On Nexus Prime, Lyriel led a daring raid on the Concordat's central data hub. Her team, a mix of species united by their desire for freedom, moved with practiced precision. Hurry, she hissed, her bioluminescence dimmed to near invisibility. We have minutes before the next security sweep. Gronk, the Vespiri drone, worked feverishly at a data terminal, his multiple limbs a blur of motion. Almost. Got it. With a triumphant buzz, he extracted a data crystal. Everything we need to know about Earth and the suppression field. This could be the key to bringing down the whole system. As they made their escape, alarms blaring in their wake, Lyriel allowed herself a moment of hope. Earth, she whispered. Soon, we'll make contact. Soon, we'll be free. In the Outer Rim, on a barren moon that had long served as a penal colony, a very different scene was unfolding. Thousands of prisoners, representing dozens of species, stood united. Their eyes were fixed on a makeshift stage, where a figure shrouded in a tattered cloak addressed the crowd. For too long, the figure's voice boomed, amplified by crude technology. We have suffered under the Concordat's tyranny. For too long, we have been told that resistance is futile, that hope is a lie. The figure threw back its hood, revealing a face that seemed to shift and change, never settling on one form. This was Morpheus, a shapeshifter of unknown origin, and the de facto leader of the burgeoning rebellion. But now, Morpheus continued, its voice rising with passion. We have proof that change is possible. Earth, a world long suppressed, has broken free, and if they can do it, so can we. The crowd roared its approval, a cacophony of alien voices united in a single purpose. The Concordat fears Earth, Morpheus declared. They fear the idea of Earth, because Earth represents everything they've tried to stamp out. Freedom, diversity, hope. As the rebellion gathered strength, as Earth prepared for a conflict it couldn't fully comprehend, the galaxy held its breath. The Celestial Concordat, an empire that had stood for millennia, was facing its greatest challenge. And at the center of it all was humanity, a species that had spent its entire history unaware of the greater galaxy, now thrust onto the cosmic stage. They carried with them something the Concordat had long forgotten, something that burned brighter than any star. Hope. Unquenchable, unstoppable hope. The spark had been lit. Now, it was time for the fire to spread. The void of space lit up with a dazzling display of energy as the celestial Concordat's flagship, the Eternal Dominion, materialized at the edge of the Sol system. Its massive form, a city-sized construct of impossibly advanced technology, cast a shadow across the stars. Aboard the ship, Xylith Na stood before a vast viewing screen, her tendrils writhing with a mix of anticipation and dread. So this is Earth, the world that dares to defy us. Drekthar, his cybernetic implants humming with barely contained energy, sneered. Doesn't look like much. One good volley from our main cannon, and we could end this farce right now. No! Xylith Na's response was sharp, surprising even herself with its vehemence. We're here to contain the threat, not obliterate it. The suppression field must be re-established. As the Eternal Dominion approached, Earth's defense grid sprang to life. The Jupiter Array, a network of satellites harnessing the gas giant's magnetosphere, crackled with power. The Mars Defense Platform, a series of rail guns capable of accelerating projectiles to near-light speed, locked onto its target. In the Global Defense Initiative headquarters on Earth, alarms blared. Chancellor Adebayo's voice cut through the chaos. This is not a drill, people. Operation Defiant Hope is now active. All personnel to battle stations. Minister Tanaka, her neural implants flashing rapidly, called out updates. Jupiter Array is charged and ready. Mars Defense Platform is locked on target. Luna Cannon is not responding. What? Adebayo's face paled. The Luna Cannon is our ace in the hole. What's wrong with it? Before Tanaka could respond, a new voice cut in. I think I can answer that, Chancellor. All eyes turned to see Dr. Zheng Lu striding into the command center. But she wasn't alone. Behind her walked a group of individuals, each radiating an aura of power that was almost palpable. Dr. Lu? Adebayo's voice was a mix of confusion and hope. What is this? Lu's eyes gleamed with excitement. Chancellor, meet Quantum Team Alpha, the first fully awakened psychics in human history. And they have a plan. One of the psychics, a young woman with eyes that seemed to peer into other dimensions, stepped forward. Chancellor, we've tapped into the Luna Cannon, but not to fire it. We're going to use it as a focus for our combined psychic energy. Adebayo's brow furrowed. To do what, exactly? To reach out, another psychic, an older man with skin that shimmered with barely contained energy, explained. To touch the minds of every being on that ship. To show them the truth about Earth, about humanity, about hope. As the Eternal Dominion entered weapons range, as the Jupiter Array prepared to fire, as the Mars Defense Platform locked on, everything changed. A beam of pure, white light erupted from the lunar surface, engulfing the Concordat's flagship. But this was no weapon of destruction. This was something far more powerful. Aboard the Eternal Dominion, Xylith Na gasped as her mind was flooded with images, emotions, memories. She saw Earth's history unfold before her. The triumphs, the failures, the indomitable spirit that drove humanity to always reach for the stars. Drekthar fell to his knees, his cybernetic systems overwhelmed by the sheer humanity of what he was experiencing. He felt love, hate, joy, sorrow, emotions he had thought long purged from his system. Across the ship, across the galaxy, minds were opened. The suppression field, designed to dampen psychic energy, became a conduit for Earth's message of hope. In hidden resistance bases, in oppressed colonies, in the hearts of those who had long given up, a spark ignited. A realization that change was not only possible, but inevitable. As the light faded, as the echoes of Earth's psychic broadcast reverberated across the cosmos, silence fell. Then, from the Eternal Dominion, a transmission. Xylith Na's voice, trembling with emotion, she had never before experienced. Earth, we had no idea. All this time, we thought we were preserving order, but we were stifling life itself. Chancellor Adebayo, his own eyes wet with tears from the shared psychic experience, responded. It's not too late, first speaker. The galaxy doesn't need a concordat. It needs understanding, cooperation, hope. In that moment, the foundation of a new galactic order was laid. Not an empire ruled by fear and suppression, but a federation built on mutual respect and shared aspirations. The changes didn't happen overnight. There were still battles to be fought, minds to be changed, wounds to be healed. But the spark had been lit, and there was no extinguishing it now. Earth, once a silent, suppressed world, became a beacon of hope for the galaxy. Humans, with their newfound psychic abilities and their age-old capacity for innovation and adaptation, took their place among the stars not as conquerors, but as partners. And across the vast expanse of space, on worlds whose names humanity had yet to learn, in the hearts of beings whose forms defied human imagination, a word was spoken. A word that carried with it the promise of a brighter future, of a universe transformed. That word was Earth, and with it came the greatest force the cosmos had ever known. Not technology, not psychic power, but something far more fundamental, far more human. Hope. Unquenchable, unstoppable hope. The galaxy would never be the same again. And that perhaps was the greatest victory of all.